Imagine. Imagine sending your children to school. You sending your kids to school, your neighbors sending their children to school, and then imagine them not coming back home. Imagine that you could hear your neighbor screaming because their child, their husband, their brother, their sister, or their friend is dead. Imagine getting a phone call from out of town and somebody telling you that somebody that you knew, maybe it was the boy at the grocery store, the girl that worked the cash register, that they were dead. Imagine how that would make you feel. The sad part is that you really don't have to imagine. Even with Friday's events, yes, the number was high. For us that, for maybe some people that don't know nothing about that. But hearing about 20-something people being killed is nothing for some people that live in places like LA or Chicago or New Jersey. Because guess what? It's a reality that 20, 30 people getting killed or shot up in a weekend. I recently was watching an interview with a brother on there talking about that at his church alone, that his pastor has had 300 funerals, all murders, and all people under the age of 30 years old. Did you hear what I just said? This year, 2012, this pastor has had 300 funerals burying people under the age of 30, all for murder. Yes, Friday was tragic. But for some people and those of us that have been watching the news, it's nothing new. And it's like we cannot allow this to become the norm. President Obama said it in his speech when he was up there in Connecticut, and it's so true. We cannot allow this to become the norm. But my question is, why do we constantly act like these things are not happening? I'm sitting in a wheelchair right now from being shot. I was 24 when I was shot. The kids I go and talk to every week in the jail and at schools and at community homes every week are little kids. Imagine talking to a kid that asks me, Mr. Titus, how do you have a relationship with your father when he breaks your legs at 6 months old because you cried too much? Or Mr. Titus, how do you deal with your mother when she dropped you off on a doorstep because she was more concerned about pursuing her addiction than raising the kids? This is stuff that happened before Friday. And that's going to continue to happen unless somebody brings it to, somebody keeps it in people's face. Stands out there, do something about it. Speak to these kids. Tell them your experience. Tell them what you've been through. Tell them what you've overcome. And maybe there'll be hope. I would rather be in this wheelchair for the rest of my life telling people about what happened to me and how I overcome it, and how in spite of what I'm in, it doesn't define who I am. So that they might make it so that one kid might smile, so that one kid might see hope. Today, as I read a poem that I wrote called 5 through 10, and I wrote it after I heard about the children being killed in Connecticut. It bothered me, it troubled me. But not just those kids, but the countless kids that are murdered every day. People, period, that are murdered every day. That people just, oh, that was sad, and then we go on with our lives. Not me, not another day. Because I don't know if you've ever experienced what it feels like to be talking to a child, to touch a child, to tell you, to hear a child say they're going to try to make it, and then to get a phone call because somebody dropped the ball along the way and that child killed themselves. Well, that's what happened to me this year. Somebody that I spoke life to, somebody that I believed in, somebody that I prayed for, somebody I thought was going to be all right. Somebody along the way dropped the ball and this kid felt like he had no one and killed himself. Martin Luther King said that injustice anywhere, anytime that there's an injustice anywhere of any sort, there is a threat to justice everywhere. Let's not forget the injustices that are happening in our communities. Let's not forget the injustices that are happening in our schools. Let us not forget the injustices that are happening in some of the churches, and some of the mosques, and some of these conscious groups. Let's not forget the injustice. It's time for us to walk in integrity and live the type of lives that the Creator has destined and ordained for us. And for some of us, it might cost our life. Look at Martin. Look at Malcolm. Their houses were bombed. Maybe that's the problem. Don't nobody want to die. They'd rather die in the street like a coward than to die like a man or a woman, like a soldier, and live your life like a soldier the way God intended. I don't care if I step on toes, honestly. Because the funny part is, if you stepped on my toes, I wouldn't feel it. So who cares? I care. We have to get up and stand up and do the things we need to do, fam. It's time. It's beyond time. I couldn't let the day go out without me doing this video. Don't know why. It's on me. Maybe to challenge somebody, provoke somebody to not take life for granted, or the other people who are in their lives for granted. I'm going to share what I shared today at the school I went to where the kids and adults struggle with addiction. And I got a standing ovation, and people were crying, and it felt good. But then I wish that everybody could hear it, so I'm going to do a video so you can. I remember sitting in a training on last Friday for my job when another person in the room broke the silence of a 10-minute break, exclaiming that 26 people were shot dead at a school in Connecticut, and that 20 of them were children. I lifted my head and stared towards heaven for an answer as to why. As my heart ached in pain, thinking of the parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, cousins, and friends that will never see the faces or hear the laughter of these people again. I saw in my mind 20 Christmas trees for the children, and underneath are the gifts that these children will never unwrap. 20 beds never to be slept in again, and 20 voices never to be heard again. Ages 5 through 10. That's what President Obama said the ages were of the children that were shot and killed. Think about that. Absorb that. Feel that. Think of the playgrounds they played on, the dreams they had, the smiles that they wore on their faces, the time that their parents expected they had left to share with them. Then think of yourself and the time you have wasted, having no respect for time or those you share time with. Think of your body and the things that you have taken into it, be it drugs or alcohol. Think of the things you have done with your life, like living a lie, holding grudges, being angry, having resentment. If I told you that your next hit would kill you, would you take it? If I told you that to live and love and inhale and exhale is a gift, would you live your life unwrapping it daily with every breath you take and not waste a breath on foolish endeavors? If I told you that your life is a gift wrapped perfectly by God, and that with each struggle you overcome, you unwrap the gift of who you are a little more, would you not give up when you struggle? If I said again that these children were ages 5 through 10, and they're gone, 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 and you are here, would you live your life on purpose to find out why you're here? Live, young people. Love, young people. You owe it to yourself to do so. And you owe it to these children that are no longer here, and you are. Mothers and fathers that are watching this video, hug your children. Tell them how much they mean to you. If you say you're a friend, be a friend. If you say you forgive, forgive. And if you are hearing my voice, I say live, 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 and don't take it for granted, because you owe it to those who were ages 5 through 10. I hope this video challenges you. I hope it pisses some people off. But I hope more than anything that it motivates you to live your life on purpose, and to encourage those that you know that are not living on purpose, that are taking life for granted, to not do so. I hope it challenges you to pay attention not only to what's happening on the news, but what's happening in your community, or what's happening around the corner from you or with your neighbor. It's time to live on purpose and change lives. I believe that every life that is has been given life to change and impact lives. Let's not be remembered when we're gone for the problems we cause, but for the ones we solve. Peace.